So here we are. Things seem to be heating up in regards to the Montreal Canadiens and everyone's favorite crap disturber in the NHL this off-season, the Philadelphia Flyers. Take a look at some of the latest that has come out of Daily Faceoff and the fourth period's David Pagnotta. Earlier this week, they had themselves the DFO Rundown show, and this entire 20-minute segment had a whole bunch of NHL rumor updates, trade talk, and more. I'll leave a link in the description to Daily Faceoff's Twitter if you want to go out there and take a look at Jason Robertson, Detroit, Columbus, Connor Hellebuck, and a whole bunch of other stuff. But what we care about is what David Pagnotta spoke on Daily Faceoff about Montreal Canadiens defenseman Arber Xhekaj. Because at the time of recording this audio, the big physical sheriff in Montreal still remains unsigned. Now, I fully acknowledge that by the time this video was public on YouTube, that might not actually be the case. Xhekaj can sign a contract the minute before this YouTube video is public on the internet, and if that happens, then we'll go out there and retcon this entire commentary at some point later in the day. But Arber Xhekaj is 25 years old, 6'4", 240, a left-handed defenseman, undrafted and taken straight out of Costco, a guy that was able to establish himself as a free agent pickup for the ages for Montreal back in the 2022 season. It was during this period where Xhekaj signed on with the Habs, he had an impressive prospects camp, and he inevitably found himself playing a full-time NHL role in the 2022-2023 NHL campaign. Yes, he isn't Elaine Hudson. He's not going to go out there and score a whole bunch of points. But for what Xhekaj brings, the physical presence, the respect that he demands from his opponents on the ice, and the way he can go out there and defend the respect of his teammates, you can see why Arber Xhekaj quickly became a fan favorite in Montreal, especially during games against the Ottawa Senators and what have you. Either way, the past two seasons have not really been all too kind to Arber Xhekaj. He has faced limited games played and very limited point production, whilst getting into a number of penalty issues and trust issues with Martin St. Louis and the coaching staff. Make no mistake about it, Xhekaj is a very beloved player, but I think a lot of Canadiens fans can acknowledge that there are a number of other guys better than him available on the Canadiens lineup. You're only really employing Xhekaj and giving him a role on your team if you want the very specific quality that separates Arber Xhekaj from the rest. That is physical intensity and, what's the right word? Intimidation factor. There you go. So, the fact that Arber Xhekaj remains unsigned is quite interesting, but I also do think it makes sense if the Canadiens themselves are unsure as to how much or how long they want to commit Arber Xhekaj to this organization. Either way, the DFO Rundown with the fourth period's David Pagnotta does go out there and highlight some of the latest on Arber Xhekaj and what could be going down. NHL Trade Alert posted their summary of what David Pagnotta said. Things are at a status quo between Montreal and Arber Xhekaj on a new contract. Pagnotta also mentions that Philadelphia has had interest in this dude dating back a few seasons. Now, David Pagnotta, the fact that he's going out there and reminiscing on what was Philadelphia Flyers trade talks for Arber Xhekaj from years ago, the fact that he is bringing it up once more, I do think is pretty interesting because it does open the door to Philadelphia potentially still being interested in this kind of a player. We spoke about how the Flyers are this year's crap disturber in the NHL, and that absolutely makes sense because you look at what they did this offseason. They signed Leo Carlson to an offer sheet. They didn't do that because, oh, we just want to go out there and get ourselves a good guy. I feel like that's like 40% of the equation when Philadelphia signed the offer sheet for Leo Carlson. I think 60% of the conversation was, hey, let's screw over Pat Verbeek. He's got all this stuff going on. He's a hard negotiator. His clients want money. Let's give them that money. And then the Anaheim Ducks are going to be forced to match it. And in the process, in an Oppenheimer-Einstein-like way, we are going to ignite the next generation of money spending for young players in the National Hockey League. It's almost like the Philadelphia Flyers said that is their most important priority here. Obviously, signing the guy and hoping that he comes over is one thing. But I'm sure the Philadelphia Flyers knew about the implication of what happens if that contract gets matched. Connor Bedard gets $15 million. You have Adam Fantilli that could get some more as well. You have Macklin Celebrini. He can get some more too. Philadelphia is the team that started it all. And they also have a very physically demanding style that they want to bring in from Arber Xhekaj. Rick Tocchet absolutely loves guys that are physical on the back end, and we saw that with Noah Juulsen over the past few years in Vancouver, and potentially in Philadelphia as well. Okay, he had 52 games played and 10 points. How many minutes was he getting? Look at that, eh? Noah Juulsen had some 21-minute games in there, combined with 14, 12, 10-minute games with the Philadelphia Flyers. Great to see that Rick Tocchet still loves his guys. Noah Juulsen, physical presence, a big hitter, maybe a very bad defenseman, period. Like, the amount of times this guy would chase a hit in the neutral zone for the sake of chasing the hit was unbearable in Vancouver. But it was something that Rick Tocchet seemed to really appreciate with Juulsen. You think about Arber Xhekaj, and honestly, even though Xhekaj lacks some of the maybe bull in a china shop type of mentality that Noah Juulsen has sometimes, I do think that Rick Tocchet would find use out of Arber Xhekaj. We saw Rick Tocchet have success with big mean decors in the past. Tyler Myers, Carson Soucy, Nikita Zadorov. Arber Xhekaj is right up his alley. And if Philadelphia management is thinking, yeah, Arber Xhekaj is a guy that we've consistently been trying to go after, and we've consistently wanted to acquire this guy in a trade, we're willing to pay him money, we're willing to give him a spot, then I wouldn't be surprised if those doors opened up to trade destination station once more. Especially when you look at the Montreal Canadiens and you think about just the decor that they have at their disposal heading into this upcoming campaign. I mean, there are a number of guys that are available and useful for this team. Carrier, Dobson, Gooley, Hudson, Matheson, Struble, that's 6. You have David Reinbacher, who is chilling in the system, and then you have Arber Xhekaj. There's a number of guys on this blue line that makes it difficult for any one individual to just consistently get minutes, and Xhekaj seems to be the last guy standing of players that could be more in that gray zone territory. So with all that said, if there's enough uncertainty, I would not be surprised if Arber Xhekaj himself were more interested in finding a new opportunity elsewhere. If Philadelphia is that team, as David Pagnotta is highlighting it may be, then I wonder what the trade talks look like. It would just be for the rights to this guy. He doesn't have a contract right now, so you would essentially be trading for the RFA negotiation rights, if not a sign and trade in practice. You can let me know your thoughts in the comments. How do you feel about Arber Xhekaj and the idea of him getting traded to Philadelphia? I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.